this works. You've seen one of these unbagging videos before. So here we go. Good evening. It is Sunday, June 4th. It's 7:30 in the evening, and I'm not long back from UK Games Expo. I have a very, very welcome, nice hot cup of tea. A cat that is not ours, who is ignoring me, and a bag of stuff to just show off. And then some more. So I'm going to do this by day. So I was there Friday. So what have I got? Let's have a look. So we have some the Gloom Dragon, which is a smart book. Sort of like you play using sort of like QR codes. You can scan these images. This is a Danish book. So it's a solo play. It's an interesting development on sort of like the choose your own path adventures, but you can use your phone with it. A little mini role-playing game that was free based on a film. Yeah, this is basically a rules-light role-playing game called Breaking Infinity. This is, we see, Thoughts and Prayers 2023. This is the convention fanzine for Mert Borge from the Stockholm Cartel on this. So this is official Mert Borge content plus more. And I've got two of those, for which if I come across the other one, I'll explain. From, let me see, Beyond Cataclysm, I picked up, let me see, that's just stuff. We have 30 Days of Mert Borge Adventure Chapbook Volume 4. I've already done unboxings of Volumes 1, 2 and 3 because I picked those up from Leisure Games to review some at some point in the year. So there's Volume 4. Of course I'll have Volume 4. We have, let's have a look. Issues 1, 2 and definitely 3 of the Phylactery, which is the fanzine from Planet X. I've been wanting to look at these for some time, and of course it's more expensive to get the American content over. So there's that. Let's put that back in the bag. And then from the same people, from Beyond Cataclysm, there was a whole bundle of small stuff which I'll show you now. So the interest is sort of like I can sort of you just basically sometimes, you know, you have a publisher who would go, hello, how are you, have everything, and everything that we do, and this was a case of with Beyond Cataclysm. So we have sort of like a series of mini games that they would like to make to review, like Stuck at a Gaming Convention, which is a mini game about being at a convention. Story of everyone's weekend, because UK Games Expo has been huge. Sort of thousands and thousands of people were in attendance. A lucky for none, a comedy horror game which uses a 13-sided die, which comes when you buy it. That you get it with the game, and they've now got the monopoly on 13-sided dice in order for everyone who wants a copy to play it. What else I've got from them? I think that's it offhand that I can find. I'm sure there'll be other things. Oh yes, sort of like a micro game, bar fight. Things have gone down the bar again. Let's find out who wins. And of course, I'm going to get invaded by the cat who's not ours, who's being really awkward about sitting in front of the camera. He's going to go see my partner. So this is sort of like a game about telling the story of a bar fight rather than having a bar fight. A couple of issues of Nevermind the Dice Rollers with the fanzine. These are issues 2020, 2019, 2021. Nice little UK fanzine. I've reviewed the first issue, and I've got the second issue to review on a review of the others, but I thought I would pick up some physical, because I always like to review physical things. Roll and Play Game Master's Fantasy Toolkit, which is a book of tables, spiral bound, so that's really good idea. So essentially you have tables and counters that are just generic, but you can use them with the fantasy game of your choice. So works with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, of course, as well as Old School Essentials, or whichever retro clone or Dungeons and Dragons style role-playing game you like. Time for some more tea. So next we have a preprint version of Cthulhu Hack 2nd edition, with colour coding and colour production values in it. That looks fantastic. I will be looking forward to looking at that. Latest issue of Black Pudding, courtesy of, so that's from Just Crunch Games. We have Black Pudding from Square Hex Gold Piece Productions. Now, I've looked at previous issues of Black Pudding, which is such a fun fanzine, old school Renaissance, but hand drawn and written by James V. West, and it's really one of the more singular fanzines available for the old school Renaissance, because it doesn't just have its own style in terms of its content, but its own style in terms of its real look. No other fanzine looks like it. Big things. Rivers of London, got a copy. Didn't get a copy there because they really sold out quickly. I picked up a copy there that was purchased for me, and I paid for it and sent up via via various means. So thank you, Fabio, for going and getting it, and then making the 60 odd mile round trip on the motorbike in order to get it to someone who can then take it up. And why did I get him to get to that go to those lengths? With Leisure Games, who are lovely, by the way, is because it's signed. I got all the signatures I could, including those available at the expo. So yeah, because it was a signing in London, and then did that. Okay, promotional bit stuff and business cards, and this is the role-playing game that people have been wanting to look at ever since I did the Fabula Ultima sort of like quick start thing that they did for Free RPG Day. I think it was last year or the year before. So they were there. The publisher was that, which is Need Games. So I'm really interested to look at that, because there's been a bit of an interest in role-playing games based upon Japanese role-playing games, computer role-playing games like Final Fantasy VII, and similar titles. So this is the full role-playing game, which is now out. Another game from the little publisher I told you about earlier, A Set of Scrubs, a solo role-playing game, essentially about working essentially being a set of scrubs whilst they are being worn by multiple people, being washed in between, in hospital and so on, so yeah, that's probably one of the most interesting, or if not interesting, it's definitely a unique subject for a role-playing game. So that's a solo journaling game. We have Tyrannosaurus Rex, a T-Rex crawl adventure. This is for Mertborge, and again from Beyond Cataclysm, and it's a scenario in which you are villagers whose villages is not only attacked by a T-Rex, it's swallowed by a T-Rex, and it's what happens next. We have Operation Santa, the strategic annihilation of a nefarious tentacle alien, another adventure for Mertborge, which takes place at a very, very different version of the North Pole. Okay, then a state scenario for Handiwork Games. Those are a couple of the medieval menagerie fanzines. I'm not going to open those, but I will in another unboxing, because lots to get through. Lots and lots to get through. So this is Upriver Downriver, a solo journaling role-playing game about a long sea or river voyage played using tarot cards. And that's from McGuffin and Company, whom I like their books. And if you've not seen my reviews of it, or read my seen my unboxing, or certainly read the review of it, do have a look at their copy. They're Odd Jobs. It's a fantastic collection of mini campaigns, and every one of them is. I went, oh, I want to play that, and I want to play that, and I want to play that. Just a really good anthology. This is Ildiane, I can't pronounce that correctly. It's a short story. It's a comic book from Studio Agate. I'll show you that. Who do the fantastic Esteren setting. There's a bit of a flyer for Acton Cthulhu from Modiphius. We have the Sorcerer's Enclave. This is something else from Square Hex. And can I just say that Peter and Margie at Square Hex are absolutely lovely. They are so nice. And then Soul Mist, a core rulebook, dark fantasy role-playing game. This is from a new publisher, Black Lantern Productions. It's a basically 5th edition compatible fantasy role-playing game. Interested to see what that's like, because a lot of the compatible content is sometimes it can be really interesting. Then from Rebellion, we have Ian Livingstone's Judge Dredd, the game of crime fighting in Mega City 1. So this is the classic board game from 1980, updated. And to go with that, there is a little thing which I had, which is an expansion. I can't see it from there. Where you can be Judge Fish. Bloop. Fighting crime on the streets of Mega City 1 in your fishbowl. Look, so I'm deviating a bit. This I picked up this today, but it's got mixed up in the bags. This is Everyday Heroes, which is from Evil Genius Games, and it's a updating of what was D20 Modern, but for 5th edition, and they've done some fantastic scenarios. They've got some really good, interesting licenses. Then Coffee and Chaos Comedy Cafe role-playing game. A role-playing game designed to go with any other role-playing game where you might go to a cafe for a coffee. Shadows of Esteren, Malawan, supplement for Esteren, which is sort of like if Celtic culture had developed further towards the Renaissance and had magic and alchemy and tinges of the mythos. It's a French role-playing game, and it feels very French, but is lovely, and the artwork is fantastic. If you've not seen Esteren, just going down Esteren 0, which is the quick start, there's an incredible amount of gaming content in just that. It's a big scenario, you get all the characters and everything playable. Okay, then from Parable Games, we have Shiver Gothic, which is the first setting book for the Shiver role-playing game. Now, the Shiver role-playing game, as presented, is kind of like an anthology game where you sort of you can play multiple different horror genres. In this, it focuses upon the Gothic period, and you play monsters hunting other monsters in the Victorian era. And I just went, ooh, that sounds fantastic. We have Secrets of Spire Home, which is the campaign for it. You've got a setting and a campaign as well. And yeah, where else have we got to? We have The Great Campaign, a globetrotting campaign in 4 glorious parts, 4 leagues of adventure. This is from Triple Ace Games. This is their first new role-playing product for some time, but this book has been in the has sort of like been has been sort of percolating for quite some time, whilst Triple Ace Games has been sort of concentrating on its board games and miniatures combat games. But this is by Sarah Newton, who wrote Mindjammer. So, and Leagues of Adventure is sort of like tends to be sort of like slightly pulpy Victorian adventure. So it's absolutely fantastic that we finally have a campaign for it. Almost there. A State, which is an update by Handiwork Games of the Noughties Scottish role-playing game of the Strange City. I would be doing unboxing of that. Absolutely adore the original in terms of its setting, if not it, and its aesthetic, if not its actual rules. And last but not least, we have MiG 3, the Mainz Index to Glorantha. This is volume 3. This is the new updated version of the guide to everything that's been published for Glorantha in the past 40 odd years. It's been much promised. You won't be able to find this in trade. You will have to go direct to Cursium. And why have I got 2 copies? Well, because I bought one for a friend. It's her birthday next month, so I felt she deserved to have a copy of this. She knows it's coming because I had to stop her buying a copy, only it turned out the copy she was buying was for for someone else. So I've ruined the birthday surprise for her, but saved her £40, so that's fine. And it's a book she would have wanted. She wants anyway. So that's bag 1. So let me just pack this all up, and I'll go and get bag 2. It's going to be a bit like that. So lots of interesting things, lots of things I'm going to be looking at in the next 6 months. I am going to be very busy, very quiet. Oh yes, sorry, there's the thing that's missing. There's the expansion. Judge Fish. Bloop. Because if you're not doing that when you're playing Judge Fish, come on. Okay. Oh, and the other thing is that all those little games, so like the Sears set of Scrubs comes with their own little sort of like expansion bookmark, which is a nice idea. So where are we? Let's put this all in there safely. Just too much to look at, too much to. It's really expanded. Quite a few American publishers there. Lots of little publishers. And yeah, right. So let's get rid of this bag. Let's go and get the other one. Yes, that really does say Funko Games, because believe it or not, Funko do board games, and a lot of the board games they kind of do are the particular intellectual properties. So let's have a look at some of those. So I was just handed a bag of games to review, very generous as ever. So the obvious one, sort of like as a sort of like an intellectual property, is an Indiana Jones board game. And the thing about the games that the Funko some Funko Games put out is that they're actually better than they look. And by what I mean is, you would think from a publisher like Funko they would put out sort of like, you know, quick and easy games, sort of like, but in a lot of cases they're really heavily worked to ensure that they adhere to the theme, and thus they're really good, you know. So that's the Judge Dredd game. Indiana Jones. Sorry, I've got an audience for a change. A live audience. Not only am I mean, not the cat. He's not that interested. So, Cranium, I will review this, and this is interesting. I've never played Cranium. It's 25 years old. Big Boss, a strategy game by Wolfgang Kramer, which is supposed to be a bit inspired by Acquire, which is the classic 3M game from the late 60s. So yeah, where are we? And then finally, this is the one I had for everyone going, "Ooh, what's that?" Because it's got a mini Funko figure in there of Indiana Jones, and it's a little mini card game, you know, of matching the sets. And fine, I mean, that's absolutely great because you've got the Funko style artwork on the cards, and everyone can recognise the characters. And why will we review that? Well, it's Indiana Jones. And this will be a game, you know, it's ages 6 plus, 2 to 4 players, 15 minutes. It's a perfect filler game, you know. And people like, you know, Indiana Jones, and everyone was just going, "Ooh, mini," you know. You're thinking if Funko Pops did mini minis like that, maybe they should. Okay, so that's all of the things that I got on. Well. That's Saturday morning. Then I went into the bring and buy, because obviously one of the things about Expo is it's become sort of like a point where you have a huge bring and buy where people will come and sort of like drop off their board games, and you can go in and pick, and they're all priced and pick and pay, and people can collect their money at the end. And there is some role-playing material in there. Typically not very much in comparison to the board games because of the kind of the emphasis of Expo as a board game convention. It does do role-playing games. There's lots of role-playing games going on, but the board games are kind of front and center. That's just sort of like, you know, it's all part of the mix, but you can find some interesting things in there if you look, and yes, I did. So first off, I got a copy of Hull Human Occupied Landfill, and this is the version from the Cabal, and it's the collected edition of the previous content. And then Tales of Equestria. And before you have a reaction, this is better than you think. It's actually a really nice playable game. If you like My Little Pony, this isn't for me. This is an April Fool's gift for someone in 2004. That's how far I'm thinking ahead. And then, classic board game, Apocalypse, 1980, whenever, you know, Games Workshop, one of the favourite games of Steve Jackson, if you read The Dice Men. Came out with a new edition a few years ago, which was very nice, renamed The Warlord, which was its original title. And this is the game you see on the back. I did have a copy of this. It came with the worst six-sided die in all of gaming history, because it looked like it was drunk. So, Sea of Souls role-playing game based upon the computer game. This is from Mongoose. Always wanted to have a look at this, see whether it's actually any good, because it's sort of like a pirate game. Release the pirate within you. And then we have, caught up with the handles. Middle-earth role-playing, MERP. This is the first edition because it's got the dark cover, not the light cover. I did have people going, ooh, and ahhing over this one, which I was surprised to see. And lastly, the one thing I did not expect to see, and my really big purchase, and it wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be, is a copy of Dragon Pass, and this is in really nice condition. It's the box is damaged there, but the contents are perfect. So that's everything from Saturday. Next, Sunday. So bear with me, I've got to pack this up to carry this over, and yeah, because it's not one bag, I'm afraid. Because the thing is, I know people are putting up pictures of their swag, as it were. I'm taking approximately, this is going to be like a 45-minute video, I think, because by the time I've gone through everything and just shown it all to you, and just to show you sort of like some of the things that I will be looking at in the next few months to come. So let me just pack this away. Sorry, my audience is signaling to me, oh no, that's about to slip over, and she was quite right. So you get the so this time actually with this video you get the unbagging and the rebagging. Aren't you lucky? Okay. So let's get rid of this out the way. Oh, mustn't forget the little game. Okay, so next we have a copy of Romance of the Perilous Land. This is by Scott Malthouse. Been meaning to review this for a while. This is from Osprey, and it's the only title from Osprey which I've not reviewed, so thankfully managed to get a copy. And then for Star Trek Adventures, Utopia Planatia, Gamma Quadrant, and Delta Quadrant. Now, the 2 quadrant books I hadn't actually got around to do. I hadn't got copies of to review, but I'd done Alpha and Beta Quadrant, the reviews of the Alpha and Beta Quadrant books, so I wanted to finish off the quartet. And so just point out that the Utopia Planatia is the newest book for Star Trek Adventures, and we had a chat about the Shackleton Expanse and how that has they essentially Paramount let Modiphius produce their own content, which is now canon, and the Shackleton Expanse is the first campaign for Star Trek. First campaign for Star Trek role-playing in, well, 11 role-playing games based on Star Trek. Really, I'm not kidding. I mean, you know. So, supplements for Dune, Sound and Dust, the Arrakis source book. Yeah, no, that's fine. These 2 scenarios, I've already done unboxings of these, but I got them signed by Luke Crane because, sorry, not Luke Crane, Luke Gygax, because he was there. He was really nice. I would have liked to get a photo taken with him because that would have been cool, but there's always next time. From Free League, Mercy of the Icons Part 3 for Coriolis. Gonna get back into Coriolis and review the campaigns. It's a lovely, fantastic Arabic, Middle Eastern influenced setting. And Part 2. And then we get on to, we have The Lord of the Rings role-playing, the 5th edition adaptation from Free League. So that's the rule book. Shire Adventures, which would be the 5th edition adaptation of the adventures in the starter set. That starter set is so much fun. I actually would absolutely love to. I mean, I really enjoyed reading it and reviewing it. I would love to play it because I absolutely want to play Lobelia Bracegirdle as a young hobbit. It's got to be absolute fun and just appeals to my role-playing sense. Oh, that's the Lawmaster screen for the 5th edition version of Free League's 5th edition version of the One Ring. Then we have Numenera, Jade Colossus, Runes of the Prime Worlds, which is a big sort of like campaign setting, which I've always wanted to look at, but it's been difficult to get hold of here in the UK. So finally got hold of a copy because one of the publishers that was there was Monte Games, not the American team, but essentially the British arm, as it were, who were absolutely, you know, adorable. And I can say that about them. First Responders as a setting for the Cypher system. A genre book, Godforsaken, again for the Cypher system. And the Cypher system rulebook. This is all from Monte Games. So thank Kate and her team for their generosity. So let's get this all packed away. And the next bag. So, you know, you're getting a preview of the reviews to come over the next few months. And this is, you know, going to keep me occupied and out of trouble, as it were. And the other thing about it is it's going to keep me at the computer, which certain cats are really going to enjoy. Okay. So this is the free league bag. So what I've got in here is this is the Tales from the Loop board game, based upon the sort of the artwork and setting, based upon the artwork. The artwork is forgotten his name, but fine, you know what I mean. But yeah, basically Simon Stahlenhag's Tales from the Loop, which was adapted to the role-playing game, which is an absolutely fantastic role-playing game. If you've not played it, artwork is fantastic, the artwork is great, the setting is great. So here's the board game, which I really wanted to look at for quite a while. And then it comes with some expansions, so invasive species, and there are no ways, so you've got extra tales to go into the core set. So I shall get that into due course. We're almost there. Well, at least in terms of bags, you know. So let's just put this bag back. I mean, if I had an interactive audience, they'd be carrying this back and forth, but you know. She's now making rude signs at me. My audience is terrible. At least the live one.
Love you too.
Okay, the final bag. Okay, I'm going to stop a moment and have some tea, because I want to give you a break, and you know, you take some tea at this point as well. That includes the audience, the live audience.
Finish mine.
Okay, so the final bag. So we start off with a copy of Thousand Year Vampire. Now this I didn't get at the expo, but the the author was there, and I arranged to get it signed because I wasn't able to go to the signing because I had a game, and I went to Leisure Games. Could I please leave this for Tim to sign? And they went, yes, no problem. We know who you are. Yes, it sort of like works a bit like that. And again, Leisure Games are lovely. And then that's what he put in my book, which is a personalised message, because essentially on Thursday night I managed to recognise him sort of like in profile because he was talking to someone else, and a bit of deductive reasoning. So that's me rambling. I'm going to have some more tea because I've got this rest of this bag to go And it's no longer a nice hot cup of tea, it's a nice lukewarm cup of tea. So we have Radzone Totality. This is from DR Games, a roll and write print and play 1 to 2 player game, which is you kind of using these locations to sort of like to explore and generate content from tables for so every time you sort of play through it, and it's a post-apocalyptic sort of game, so cross between a sort of like a solo post-apocalyptic game and a solo journaling game. And then we're back to Modiphius, another supplement for Dune Masters of Dune campaign book. And then we have Fate Forged Epic Tales in the World of Ina, which is Adventures, which is a new one from Studio Gate, who do the lovely Estrin, who you've already heard me talk about. Then next, this is the Grimoire for the same setting. This is book 2. If there are 4 books in the series, we have Slasher, which is a in-game publication in the world of Slay Industries. This is from Nightfall Games. And also from Nightfall Games is Threat Analysis 1 Collateral, a source book for Slay Industries 2nd edition. And I have to absolutely say the great thing about Slay Industries 2nd edition is it's allowing Dave Allsop's artwork to just live and breathe and see it in full colour. First kind of saw it in the Cannibal Sector source book, but just to show you that, it's absolutely terrific artwork. Next, another book from for Slay Industries Nightfall Games, which is the Species Guide Shakdar and Arathan. Okay, just show you that you've got images of the same 2 different species. From Pelgrane Press, I have a copy of Cthulhu Confidential, which is the rules for Trailer Cthulhu playing one-on-one, which is 1 keeper, 1 player. So it's scenarios and rules for essentially role-playing when you've not got a group, but you've got a couple of you, and one is prepared to be the keeper or the game master. So, and then we have the collection of scenarios, Even Death Can Die. Below that, oh yes, Doctor Who's role-playing game, 2nd edition. Been waiting for this to see this, as I really like the 1st edition of Doctor Who, and you know, lots of lovely material for it. And this is a bright new, breezy new edition. Very colourful and you know, really actually quite up to date with the image of the master on the back. You know, almost as Rasputin. You know, I think he's wearing a waistcoat there, so he gets my seal of approval. And Uncharted Journeys, which is the Cubicle 7's non-5th edition setting, sort of compatible game, and I don't know huge about it, but I will review it. I'm looking forward to digging into that to see Cubicle 7 develop an intellectual property of its own. You know, it's got big properties with Games Workshop and Doctor Who and so on. You know, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and so on that it's dealing with. And then I go back to Evil Genius Game, which who are the new publisher who do the Everyday Heroes role-playing game, and I showed you that earlier in the unboxing video. So I've got 2 scenarios. One is The Crow, and the other is Escape from New York. They've got a couple of others out at the moment, King Kong Island, and there are going to be some more as well. The one I really want to look forward to seeing is oh god, what's the Kurt Russell film in Chinatown?
Big Trouble in Little
Big Trouble in Little China. Sorry, I think they've got one for that, and that is you people. I can imagine, you know, people really wanting to see that because it's working with intellectual property, which has been around for decades and decades and decades, but nobody's been able to do anything with it in terms of role playing until now, or nobody has done anything with role playing until now. So you actually got some official content which you can work with and play with, and each of these scenarios is, it's not just a scenario. You've got an extra material in there for to handle the sort of like the content for everyday heroes, and then you've got a scenario in there as well. So you've got one for Escape from New York, and The Crow, which should be really interesting to read. And finally, let's have a look. And yeah, that's it. That is everything. So, not quite 45 minutes, 40 minutes of role-playing unbagging. Probably the longest unbagging I've done so far, because I was very efficient this time. I didn't leave it too late. I worked out everywhere I needed to go. The final afternoon. So it was a very productive weekend for me in terms of preparing myself for the next 6 months. And my live audience over there never seeing me, except in this video, because after this I'm just going to disappear in front of the computer and she'll never see me whilst I'm writing. Worse if I get any editing as well. So, let me see. Evil Genius Games, Pelgrane Press, Modiphius, Free League, let me see, Beyond Cataclysm Games, Nightfall Games, Studio Gate, sorry, Cubicle 7, sorry? Not Chaosium, because Chaosium are lovely, but I didn't take anything. I didn't have anything new from them. But all of those publishers and more absolutely should be. I want to thank in the video for 2 things. First off, generosity and continued support of my reviewing addiction, and basically. Sort of like, and so supporting me, but also sort of like that degree of trust in what I do. It means so much because, without them and their books, I wouldn't be able to write so many reviews, and, explore what's available in the hobby and showcase it so that, hopefully you can enjoy it. So thank you to everyone. Oh, sorry, Monte Games as well. Shouldn't forget them. Lovely Kate. You will be seeing all of these reviews coming very soon. I'm not going to say very soon, but soon, between now and the end of the year, as I work my way through them, read them, review them, write the reviews up, post up links, and they'll be on my website, my blog, reviewsfromreallyaid.com. You already know where that is because you're watching the video. But yeah, so if you've been watching my videos over the last, basically 4 years, reading my reviews and hopefully finding them useful for the past 14 years. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you taking the time to read them. I hope they're useful. I hope they're informative. I hope that once you've read them, you found something interesting that you want to buy and then go play. So, that's it then. That's my I think the official term is swag from UK Games Expo 2023, but this is swag with a purpose. So yeah, anyway, so I hope you've enjoyed this unbagging in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below, and of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, apart from you, bud, you're fine, I don't need any comments from you, then please do post those as well, and I do want to do my best to respond as I can. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unbaggings in the box, if you want to be alerted to yet more unbaggings in the box, you'll probably in unbaggings in the Nook, you will have to wait to at least I have been to another convention, which the next one is Continuum, then I'm going to be Owlbear and Wizard stuff, but I'm not, generally don't buy anything at those, so my next one will be, let's think, the grog meet in November, followed by dragon meet at the end of the year. So, you know, I will probably be doing unbaggings then. So, if you're waiting for future unbaggings, you may be disappointed. But do tune in tomorrow for yet more unboxings here in the Nook, where I will typically have a box containing a book or game, role-playing game, board game, so on, supplement, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so. All, of course, accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, because I won't be talking for so long. And it's not even lukewarm now. Sorry. This time of night, bugs everywhere. So if you all want to see all of that, do please hit the subscribe button down below. I will be back again soon with an unboxing in the Nook tomorrow. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for my live audience of one. I'll be back in soon. Bye for now.